Have you ever had to work sometimes 5 to 6 weeks at a time, constant travel, not being able to see your wife or kids, one hotel room to another, all while no guarantee of payment? Well, there are hundreds of tour caddies who experience this life every week on the major golf tours. Not every caddy can be like this guy or that guy. Today, we interview PGA Tour caddy Jeff Hamley, bagman for Andrew Novak, the 122nd ranked golfer in the world. Welcome back to the Scratch Golf Show. If you're new here to the channel, my name is Marco. We mainly focus on interview-style videos featuring people all over the golf world, from caddies, creators, and tour players. If you do me a solid and hit the subscribe button below, we're trying to hit 600 subscribers before the end of 2024. We feature Jeff for about an hour today. We go over the stress of being a tour caddy, Andrew's most recent second place win in Bermuda, and a ton of funny stories, including some about this guy. I hope you enjoy the interview with Jeff. We have him for about an hour today. Like the video, leave a comment for your favorite part, and enjoy. Mr. Jeff Hamley, caddy for Andrew Novak. Jeff, welcome to the Scratch Golf Show, man. Really excited to have you on.
Hey, Marco, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we were just chatting a bit offline, but you've been on a bit of a whirlwind the past few weeks. You know, constant traveling with the fall series. Just talk to me a little bit about what the last month's been like for you on the road, and then now that you're done with the holiday, and just kind of what that life is like as a caddy when you're constantly on the road.
Yeah, thanks. Great question. Yeah, we ran pretty hard this year. Now, Andrew did give me a little bit of time off because I had my first child, a son named Lincoln, this year. So I took 5 weeks off. Andrew was great with that. So I had a nice break in March, which was pretty rare for us. That's usually the middle of the season. And we had a couple of caddies fill in that are buddies of mine, and Andrew did pretty well. The joke was we wanted him to do well, but not too well. You know? And they all did great. Yeah. And we just finished up at RSM, which is his home course, which is a really neat week. My family came down and my son. His family was all there. We stayed at his house. My wife and his wife are good friends. So it's a neat week to kind of culminate our best season yet. So we had a great time.
Absolutely. I know you guys had a good finish to the season. RSM was crazy, man. The drama, obviously, we were just talking about Wesley kind of coming down to the wire, and then Zach Blair and the 40-mile-an-hour winds. It made for a really crazy end to the, what felt like a really long PGA Tour season.
Yeah, so last year, this story got out a little bit, but not too much. So I don't know if you know this even. Last year, we went to RSM in like 125th. We were like right on the bubble last year. And again, this is Andrew's home course, and nerves were high. It was a very stressful fall. We didn't have a great season in the fall. A couple maybe T50s, T60s, 4 points here, 5 points there, just getting really close to that number. That is not a comfortable place to play golf.
Oh, no.
And I wish the tour covered that a little bit more because it is so consequential. The jobs are on the line. I love watching Scotty Scheffler play golf. I love watching Sander. These guys are amazing. Right. But if they win, things don't necessarily change too much in their golf games or their lives. Finishing in the top 125 for some, they may not get another chance. This could be their cream, their absolute top chance. So we came to the 36th hole, needing to make bogey on a downwind, easy par 5 on the Plantation course, 18th hole. If we make bogey, Andrew makes the cut, and we probably keep his card because a few other guys had missed the cut. Yeah, he hits the ball so far right, I could not believe it. To this day, we still talk about it. I mean, it's like he out of nowhere just blasted it right. Yeah, and he says to me, he goes 50-50, and I go, "That we'll find it?" He goes, No, that it's in the fairway. I go, "What are you talking about?" What? This ball is miles right. Yeah. And now we can laugh about it now because clearly it obviously worked out, but it wasn't a laughing matter then. And so we get up to where we think the ball is. Don't find it. No one found it. His whole family's there. He's got 20 people there, and Andrew's like, "There's 20 of you here. None of you could find it. Like, what's going on?" Yeah. So we have to. And then we were playing with Peter Malnati, and Peter, he comes over. And he's like, I was trying to tell him this might be in this little creek that's like this big, and Peter's like, no, and he's right, it wasn't. Yeah. But at this point, we're thinking of all options of where this ball is. No one finds it. We have to go back to the tee. Okay. So now we have to make birdie on his second ball to make bogey. and make the cut and keep his PJ Tour card.
Oh God.
And he stripes it down the middle. We have like 4-iron in, hits it on the back fringe.
Yeah.
Chips it to 2 feet, makes the putt, keeps his PJ Tour card.
That's awesome. Definitely want to. Well, and what people don't realize, and like is like not only is that stressful for the player, but like that's stressful for you as a caddy as well, because like they're your employer. Like
my job's on the line too.
Yeah, they don't have a job, you don't have a job type thing.
Yeah,
where it's like, man, so I can't imagine. We're gonna get into that. We want to talk about some of the changes that have come to the tour, kind of making it more of a closed door shop. You know, Ryan French. Someone who's been on the podcast before. I love Ryan, what he does for the game. Super, kind of against it. I get, the tour side, and I kind of get Ryan's side, but we'll get into it. Well, where I want to start, and you kind of alluded to it, and a great story about you and Andrew, but just talk to me a little bit about how you guys met, how you got started, and then how you got started caddying for him.
Yeah, so I had a career, I'm almost 40. I had an 11-year sales career before caddying, and I live in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and it was a good career. I really enjoyed it, and but I was ready for the next chapter in my life, and I did some caddying in like state opens and some junior tournaments for some friends. I love the game. I'm not, I have no aspirations of being a professional myself. It's a funny thing. So I have a lot of people say to me like, "Man, Jeff, don't you wish you're at Pebble? Don't you wish you could play golf and miss it?" I say, dude, the best thing about my job is I don't have to play golf. Are you kidding? Andrew's one of the best players in the world. Why would I want to? No, I want to be on his team. Like, come on, you don't want to see me play golf. So after this career, well, really at the end of it, I had met another caddy. His name's Colton. He lives in the same town as I do, and he was on the Korn Ferry Tour. It was web.com, the last year of the web. Yeah. And he's like, "Hey, if you want in, I can get you in, but you need to be here. You can't be on the fence if you want to work full time. Guys need somebody to be here full time." And on the Korn Ferry, there are opportunities out there if you're willing to be all in. And that means, and I have guys reach out to me once in a while on Instagram or LinkedIn, and they're like, "Hey, how do I get into professional caddying?" And it's literally like, buddy, you have to be ready to mentally and physically give it all. Like you're going to be exhausted mentally. You're going to travel 30 weeks a year to some foreign places, 5, 6, 7 countries a year. Oh yeah. And probably realistically, you're probably going to fail much, 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 much more before you see any success. And years of failure, probably.
Probably not going to make much money either, by the way.
No. And that's really hard to do. Right. And I get that. And, fortunately, so having the career I had, I kind of always wanted to get into it. Yeah. And we were in a good place. I had my wife and I had been married. We've been married 7 years now, so we've been married 2 years at the time. She knew when I married her, I wanted to pursue this. She knew that this was going to be a goal of mine to do. I didn't know when, didn't know how, but I was networking. And then till I could find a job, and Colton got me a job, but it came with a little bit of a catch. He said, actually, I'll never forget. It was the first week of the year in the Bahamas. And he said, he called me, and it was like 9 p.m. and I answered. He never called me. We only texted. And I was like, my wife, like, this is the call. Like, this is it. That's it. And so I answer the phone, and he says, "Jeff, if you can get to the Bahamas in 24 hours, I have a job for you." Awesome. I said, "I'll see you tomorrow." I called my boss, told my wife, we obviously talked about it. Yeah. My boss had been I've been working with him for a decade. We're friends. He knew this was coming, but he never knew when. But I saw it. I said, this is my opportunity to get in. Yeah. I'm going. I don't know if I'll get another one. So I went. I worked for Danny Walker, who just graduated from the Korn Ferry for the first time. So he got his PGA Tour card this year, which is great for Danny. And he gave me a shot. And so he just won Q School. And he was the feature pairing with Doug Gim and Norman Zhang. So those names are on the PGA Tour now. And Gary, the guy that does the interviews for the PGA Tour, I think he's Australian. Gary, I can't remember his last name. But he comes up to me and he's like, "I just met Danny yesterday. This is the first day. I got there for one practice round. And then we did the Pro-Am, and that was it." Yeah. And he's like, "Hey, tell me what you like about Danny's game." And I was like, I was like, I met him yesterday.
No idea.
I was like, you gotta ask me again later. I literally just flew in, and there were 6 caddies in that house. And it was a 2-bedroom house, and there were 6 caddies. I slept on a love seat that day, and that week, and we made the cut, finished like 60th. I lost $700 that week going to work. I came home, and I said to my wife, I absolutely want to do this. I saw what the job entails. I know I can do it. It's going to be challenging, but I see me fitting. I know I can do it. I need you to have faith in me and believe in me here. And so I came home. I gave my boss a month notice.
Yeah.
And then I hit the road on the Corn Ferry Tour. And my friend Colton got me a job with Rian Gibson for 2 weeks. And Rian is a Corn Ferry pro. And I learned a lot from him. And he was tough. He was a tough boss, but he was great. But the first thing that caught me off guard is he plays in meters. So my second week ever, he's Australian. He's like, hey, I play in meters, right, mate? Yeah, okay, cool. So I changed every number in my book. Every number. That's 1,000 numbers. And I just added like 9% because it's like 9.1% or whatever. Right. It's almost 10, right? So I just changed it all to be safe. And then he gave me 2 weeks, which I was very fortunate for. But I learned a few lessons with him, and one of my favorite ones is I handed him like a 7-iron after he hit a shot. I handed it back to him, and he looks at it. And he goes, "You call this bloody clean?" Like I was like, "Again, I guess he wants his clubs cleaner than that." I don't know. I thought it was spotless. Like, okay, now I know. But that helped me realize his expectations of what clean meant. Okay, cool. Now we're good. Andrew, he's so funny. So when we have a break and we come back, I'll ask him if he was practicing and stuff, and I'll look at his clubs and they're filthy. I'm like, did you clean these? He goes, yeah, I cleaned them. Bro, Rian Gibson would have you fired if you showed him these clubs. You're not even close.
That's awesome. So how did you actually meet Andrew, and how did you guys get started on his bag?
Okay, so I met Andrew 3 different ways. Okay, I'm going to get into this because I think it's pretty good. But first and foremost, I met him in the Bahamas, and when I flew home to go back to work, the whole tour flew to another island in the Bahamas on a charter. There was one other guy with a golf hat on in the airport. He was flying home as well. It was Ralph Novak, Andrew's dad. Wow. So I sat and talked with him for an hour in the airport. Great conversation. Secondly, I have a connection to him through our family, believe it or not. So my wife's family's from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Yeah. Andrew's wife's family, Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Oh, wow.
So we found out that Andrew's wife, her grandfather is brothers with my wife's uncle. So it's like, hey, it's the more like, hey, the mailman knows the barber who knows the bartender. No, but it's somewhat through marriage and paperwork. Like we're like, holy cow, Aunt Faye, because Aunt Faye is our, and she's actually not feeling too well, but so I feel bad about that. But Aunt Faye was our connection, and she doesn't really know golf that well, or so I thought. And she called, and I only met her like maybe 2 family reunions because I'd only been married for 2 years. Like I met her at family. I talked to her twice, and Aunt Faye calls me, and Aunt Faye says, "Hey Jeff, I heard you're looking for a professional golfer to caddy for." Yeah. And this is a voicemail, and I'm thinking she went to Dick's Sporting Goods and met the guy that sells putters, and she thinks that he told her he's trying to make it, or like,
which is plausible, right? It makes sense.
Absolutely, and that's where I'm going with that.
Right.
And she says, "You know what? My niece, if so, one way, is married to or dating Andrew Novak." And I didn't know who Andrew was at the time. I didn't know who anybody was in the Corn Ferry Tour. And I said, "Okay, wow, that's awesome. So I'd love to meet him." So they set up a meeting. So my second week with Rian Gibson was in Savannah, Georgia. They set up a meeting with Maddie. And the first thing she says to me, she goes, "Man, I thought you'd be a lot older." Like, I was like, "What does that mean?" What? She thought I was like her uncle or grandfather's age. I was 30. 31, 32 at the time.
Yeah.
And so we started talking. Then there was about a month break between Savannah and the first tournament I worked for Andrew was in San Antonio, Texas at Briggs Ranch. And he called me. He's like, hey, texted him. We said, hey, like, let's go. Let's start in Briggs Ranch. Yeah. And I was, a lot of guys get like 4-week trials. Yeah. And I was like, okay, like, I didn't even ask. I said, okay, like, but in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, how long is this for? Yeah. And that was 6 years ago. So okay. If I'm still on a trial, I don't know. But
a really long trial.
Yeah. So 6 years later, we're still working together, and we just finished 68th on the FedEx Cup this year. Andrew's best finish, and we've done a little bit better every year, and now looking to bring home that first win on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Kind of let's transition to what led to kind of that top finish. You mentioned 68th, a good week in Bermuda that just happened in the fall. That you guys finished second to Rafa Campos. You guys fired, I think, course record with Wesley Bryan on Saturday.
I think we were one short.
Okay,
we were close.
Sorry.
We were close.
Sorry.
Yeah. Wesley had to outdo us.
Yeah. But hey, you guys, you just talk to him on the FedEx Cup. Just say, hey, look at my ring. Look up at me. Sorry, Wes. But no, I joke. But like, talk me through that week, man. Your best finish on tour, second place. You guys were in contention, tied for the league going into Sunday.
Yeah.
Talk me through that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so like kind of going back to last year being right on 124, really tough place to play golf, not free at all. This year we were kind of in no man's land. Like we couldn't really lose. 60, right. Yeah. Like we couldn't really lose his status, but a win would get him that next tier. So it was like, hey, let's be aggressive. Let's go for it. Like we have nothing to lose here. That's a great place to play golf from. And Andrew is a great wind player. He lives in Sea Island, plays in wind all the time. And Bermuda was a windy test for everybody. So it kind of he was in a great place, playing well, just finished 16th in Japan the week prior. And like in a great place. So I kind of had this one penciled as like, if we're going to win this one could be it. And he came out, played great. Saturday, he shot 9 under, bogey-free 9 under. And that we kind of got away with one, if you will. We caught a terrible wave a week prior or a couple weeks earlier, and I think it was in Vegas. So just or Utah, one of the two. Yeah. But this time our tee time on Saturday was perfect. When we teed off, the first 4 or 5 holes can be pretty challenging into the wind. Well, the wind was dead. Yeah. And then as we got through the tough stretch, the wind picked up, but it was with us. So we literally got I think he shot 29 on the front 9. Yep. And then the wind just kind of moved with us. You couldn't ask for a better situation. Yeah. I'm just glad he took advantage of it. He played great and he took advantage of it. So that set us up for Sunday. And we were in the final pairing with Rafa Campos and Justin Lauer. And anytime you're in the final pairing, that's absolutely where you want to be. Yes, it's the most stressful, most pressure, but we're professionals, and you want to feel that. You want that. And we had that once. We've had that one other time. So to start the year, we were in the final pairing at the Waste Management.
I remember,
which was a wild event, and that was his first time playing it. Yeah. And we had to play. I think we played 27 holes on Sunday because there was a lot of weather issues, and like Andrew played great. I mean, we finished in 8th. And that's like to keep the wheels on the bus to finish in 8th in those conditions. His first time, like that. I've been working for 6 years. I know how good he is, how tough he is. But that should prove to a lot of people that don't know him that this kid can play some golf. So so fun fact for you: we've been with Nick Taylor the last 2 times he's won on Sunday. So Nick Taylor and Dave Markle, you owe us one. Okay, and they know this. I remind them often. All the time. So we're in the final pairing, and we got off to a little bit of a slow start. Wind was up 30 miles an hour all day, and we knew it was going to be a challenging day. And putting was so tough because they didn't cut the greens because of the wind. Right. So I think the last time they cut them, I think was maybe Friday morning. It was 2 or 3 days. Yeah. So it was really tough with the wind and putting to get the ball to drop. But when we made the turn, we were tied with Rafa, and I think Lauer was 1 or 2 back. So we were tied for the lead, final 9 holes. And a lot of people say that's when the golf tournament starts, right? And Andrew had just missed, maybe a 10-footer on 9 and a 10-footer on 10. And we get to 11. And 11 is a blind tee shot that if you can carry this hill, there's a chance it gets down close to the green. It's a 400-yard hole, but it's way up and way down. Bermuda is a very hilly walk. It is a mountain. It is probably one of our harder walks on tour, which you wouldn't necessarily think, but it is. So on that hole 11, Andrew and I talked about all week. If he holes out on 11, I'm going right to the 12 green because that would skip this huge hill and I wouldn't have to walk. He never helped hold out, but he tried for me. But we get to we can't see our drive, and we get over the hill, and there's 2 balls. One's on top of the hill, one hit the cart path and is by the green.
Yeah.
We don't know which one it is. Well, ours was the one on top of the hill. Rafa's all the way down at the bottom. And, it happens. It is what it is. But we end up hitting on the green and 3-putting, make bogey. Oh, no. Rafa hits it to 15 feet, made a great putt, made birdie. So that's a 2-shot swing right there. And it's like, not saying that was a tournament, but that certainly, if it goes 2 shots the other way,
right,
I like our chances.
That's the second time you guys got bumped by the cart path.
Right. He did lose. He lost about. That's right. He lost about 30 yards.
I was watching the round because obviously, I knew we had been talking, and you hit that up the right. They were talking about it too. They're like that could come back 40 yards. You could hear Andrew saying, "Don't hit it," or I think it might have been you, and then it's
no. Andrew said it. Yeah, he knew.
That's what I thought. Yeah, and then it hit it, kept rolling back, and then you hit on the green. It was a great 2-putt, by the way, from where you guys were.
Fantastic.
Anyway, I don't want to. Back to the final round. Back to the final round. Like that back nine has got to be so stressful from
it is, and it really starts on 13, 14, 15, 16. That's the teeth of the course. And I think if we can get through there, even Andrew 17 is a downwind par 5. Probably it has to be the easiest hole in the course statistically. And Andrew, it's a tough tee shot for you and I. At water left and hazard right, like it is daunting. He just absolutely has owned that tee shot every time we've played it. Yeah. I don't say anything to him on the tee. I'm not even literally. I'm not saying a word. I don't want to throw his frustration out.
Yeah.
He got up and he smacked it again.
Yeah.
So I know if we can get to 17, like tied or maybe 1 back, we can make eagle there.
Yeah.
And then we'll go to 18 and hold on. So we played that tough stretch pretty well. We get to 16, and 16 is where Rafa won the tournament. Okay, and we hit first, and they got the NBC I should know this, but whoever was broadcasting the tournament got a great golf. Yeah, they got a great clip. So NBC, there you go. Yeah. They got a great clip of Andrew and I talking on 16T.
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah, they did.
Yeah, and like. I've been working for him for 6 years. Every caddy is going to, there's as much as of our job is on body language and nonverbal communication as it is actually talking. And once we went through, we talked, we committed to 5-iron. We talked through it. We talked about our target, what we're trying to do. And he didn't step up to the ball. He did not. The next step is for him to get into his, into his walk up and get settled and take his 1 practice swing and go. He didn't do that. So I knew he had some indecision. I knew there was something on his mind. It was a daunting shot. I think it was like 185 yards, wind in off the right, ocean left the entire way. I mean, it's the hardest shot on the course, no doubt about it. And 2 back of the lead on Sunday. I mean, this is the tournament. This is kind of like a match play situation where if we can go first and hit a good shot, I like our chances and put some pressure on Rafa.
Yeah.
And Andrew stepped off the ball, and so I brought the bag over to him, and I just wanted to talk through him. And I literally just wanted to get in his head as to, hey, tell me about what you're thinking here. Like, tell if you want. I know you're thinking about the 4-iron. Tell me about what you want to do with the 4-iron, because we didn't get into our earlier conversation, but on the 4th hole, we had literally the same conversation on the 4th hole that day, and Andrew hit 4-iron. And it went longer than we thought it was going to go. It pierced through the wind, and he made a good par. He hit it to a place where we talked about, but it pierced through the wind. So I'm thinking if he hits 4-iron again, it's going to pierce through this wind, and it's going to be in the freaking
Ocean.
Atlantic Ocean. I mean, they're right. It's gone. So I said, hey, tell me about the 4-iron. And he talked through, and he kind of came to, he realized where, what he was thinking. He said, hey, I just got to sack up and hit this 5-iron, right?
Yeah.
I go, you got to do it. That's the club.
Yep.
And he hit a great shot. And he played great all week, but he hit a great shot in a tough moment. And I'm thinking, okay, Rafa, your move, right? Your move. Andrew stepped up. And once you know it, Rafa hit the same exact shot. And he hit a perfect iron right behind us. Actually, Lauer did too. All three of those guys. That's probably the best spread of, I don't know how every other group did, but that spread of those three shots had to be the best of the day. And the final pairing, I mean, really just great golf by those guys.
Rafa made it, didn't he? Or was it Lauer who made it?
No, nobody made it. I think everybody two-putted.
Okay.
No. They were all
I remember where you guys hit it in the general area, because I remember.
Yeah, they were all like 35 footers, but that's like
fantastic. On that hole, that's
right.
Good. Yeah, no, and so I guess obviously you don't win, but what do you take out from that week? You guys have never won on tour; it's your best finish, but obviously you're in this to win, right? But you're also in this to make money. So talk me through how you take the positives away from not winning and not having it be a super negative feeling of you guys not getting the win.
We're high-fiving over that. Andrew played great, and Rafa won the tournament. I mean, that's golf. If Andrew maybe stumbled or made a late double or triple, it would leave a bad taste in your mouth. But again, he played great for the whole tournament. So go ahead. It's just sorry.
No,
it's so I learned that Andrew, he's made for this moment. He's built different, and as most of these guys are. But seeing him keep his mettle through every moment of ups and downs, and when Andrew missed the short putt, it didn't let it get to him. Came back, hit a great shot on 16, and never let those moments get to him. But I'm going to go back a little bit further in this, Marco. So we won one time on the Corn Ferry Tour, okay?
Yeah.
And it was in Bradenton, Florida, a few years, in 20. It was our last start before COVID.
Yeah.
So we started that COVID year, with a top 10 in Bogota, a top 15 in the Bahamas, and then we won in Florida. So through 5 events, we literally, I think we were in 4th place. He's going to the PGA Tour. It's set.
Yeah.
We take off the next week in Mexico because Andrew won the rest, and then COVID hit. So we literally won our last start, and then had to wait 6 months, and then they added another year on top of the of the season. But when we won, Andrew hit a great shot. He made birdie on the 71st hole to tie the lead, and there was no cameras around. And Andrew literally looks at me, and he's like, "I'm tied for the lead. There's nobody's filming. What are they doing here? What? They should be watching me. I'm playing as good or better than anybody here.
Yeah.
Why? Where are the cameras on me?" And you and I'd be, my knees would be buckling if I was in that moment, having to hit that sort of shot. There's no way I wouldn't be able to handle the pressure. That's why I'm also not a professional golfer. These guys have to be made for that moment. And when I heard, and this is only my second year working for him at this point, when I'm hearing him be mad that more cameras aren't on him,
that's awesome.
Yes, that's exactly the mindset I want you to have. And he absolutely wants to. These guys are performers. They want to show the world how good they are, and that's so we joke a lot with Wesley Bryan because Andrew and Wesley both have great short games.
Yeah,
and I think they're looking for I think you might see one of them pull a wedge on a green just to show off what they can do here this season. But they're performers. They want to show off their talents. Absolutely, and engage with fans and bring more people to the game and create moments that live in golf lore forever, because we have an opportunity to do that. And Andrew has signed me up. And when that mentality, I don't know when he's going to win a PGA Tour event. I hope I'm there for it. It's going to happen. I don't know when or where. They're hard to predict. I'll have friends ask me, say, "Hey, man, how's Andrew looking this week?" he may have the worst range session I've ever seen and shoot 68.
Yeah.
And then there's some days where he doesn't miss a shot on the range and shoots 72. I don't know. It's golf. You just never know.
And it was going back to when I really interrupted you there. It just shows you how hard this game, and one, how good they are as professionals, but how hard and unpredictable this game is. Like, you just touched on it. No offense to Rafa, but I mean, he was like, 13 to 16 cuts or whatever. Like, hadn't sniffed a cut or even a good finish, and all of a sudden wins. And now he's, set for 2 years. It's crazy unpredictable. And I've heard that from guys where it's like, I feel awful, and then they go and win. Or, I'm feeling great, and I go and miss the cut. It's just, it's crazy. It's unpredictable. It's why we play this crazy game of golf. And like you said, thank God I think it's so much better as a hobby versus as a job, because you get all the grind of getting better, but you don't have to, you get pressure situations, but when it's for your livelihood, kids, family, it's a little different versus your $20 weekend asset, right? Let's transition to talk about it. You mentioned Wesley. Wesley's a former guest of the show, but I want to transition a little bit into caddy storage. You told me a really cool one. So talk to me a little bit about this like short game competition that Wesley and Andrew have, and how much crap, how much smack talk or shit talk goes into that.
So there's more of that than you think. Less gambling on tour than I would have thought. I would have thought there'd be more, practice rounds. You hear the Phil Mickelson stories. Yeah. There isn't nearly as much gambling as I would have thought. But, when we're practicing on a Monday or Tuesday, it's very common that Wesley slides over, finds us, or we find Wesley, and we'll throw a few balls down. And it just happened a few weeks ago, and they're starting. They both think they have the best short games on tour, and they probably do. They're up there. They both can just absolutely nip it, and they're both from South Carolina, right? So Andrew, they have a little bit of in-state rivalry going, and so they love to throw a ball down and say, okay, show me what you can do, and we'll pick out a pin, and they'll try to hit the sauciest shot they can possibly hit. And it usually ends with Wesley walking away with his tail tucked between his legs. And you can please tell him I said that.
Oh, I will. I will. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, good. Now, I know he's got a new golf course there. I do want to. That probably just revoked my invitation to go play.
I still have an open invite. To go down
there.
If I keep talking the way I do, I might get mine revoked.
We may be on his naughty list this time of year. But no, Wes is a great player. Awesome. He's great with the fans. We got paired with him in Canada 2 years ago. The one Nick Taylor won. This was on. I think we were with him Thursday and Friday, and more fans were there for Wesley Bryan than any player I've been paired with, other than like Scheffler or Thagala or Morikawa, some of the big names we've seen and been paired with. But on a Thursday, Friday, realistically, there's not many people walking with us in a regular event, right? Maybe some girlfriends or family, my wife, or parents, just some occasional fans. But Wesley had true fans following him. He's done fantastic work in the internet, YouTube world. I'm a fan of his. I do enjoy his stuff. And but he had to make the cut. He unfortunately missed that cut. But he had to I think he had to hole out and make an albatross on the last hole. And there was a route to take. I remember we were in Canada at this course. They changed it every year. I think it was called Oakville or Oakmont. And the hole had a creek that ran like right where you want your ball to land. So most guys laid short of the creek. Wesley said he needs to make two. So he hits driver to the other hole, the wrong hole, hits driver to get an angle. Hits it, it's safe. We think this ball there's no way he's finding this ball. If there wasn't a gallery, there's no way to find it. He gets the safe sign, finds it, hits an unbelievable shot up on the green, doesn't go in. But he I give him credit. He made a valiant effort. And Wesley and Andrew and most of these guys, pretty much everyone that I've met, they will try, unless they're mathematically eliminated, they will do whatever they can to make the cut. These guys will fight tooth and nail to do that. And sometimes it works against the caddy. We were this year, we were in Utah for a brand new event, the Black Desert Championship. And we didn't finish our round on Friday. We had to come back on Saturday and make an albatross on a par 5. We had to make a 2 on a par 5, the 9th hole, to make the cut. would I have liked to sleep in and not get up at 5 a.m. to, drive 45 minutes to the course, go through our warm up to make it 2? That's probably not going to happen.
For the shot?
Yeah, though. Of course. But that's my job. And Andrew said, and I wouldn't even bring it up to him because that's not how our team works. Yeah. But I knew he was going to, and I love that about him. I love that about him that he said, you know what, we're going to try. It didn't go in. We actually made about a 12 on that hole. He hit it in the rocks. And there was a group behind us. And believe it or not, it was Rafa Campos behind us. And we hit it in the rocks. And at this point, we asked the rules official, we're like, hey, should we just withdraw? Like, should we just pick it up? We're mathematically limited. And the rules official came over and said, hey, if you can finish, we want you to finish.
Okay.
Then Andrew catches the flyer, ships it in the desert again. Okay. We find the ball. He chips it again, pops up, hits him in the chest, falls back in the rocks again. And at this point, and Nate Lashley's in our group too. He's like, guys, and I'm like, Nate, I'm with you. We're like, come on. Like, we're about to make a 12. We have to drop. We have to go to like back because we were in the hazard, never came out of the hazard. We have to go back online, like 200 yards. Which is we're okay. And then now the rules official said, okay, you guys can withdraw. But that kind of bit me in the ass because that's our first ever in 6 years. We've withdrawn one time, first time ever. That was it. Knock on wood. Andrew's been healthy. He's been happy. He's tried. I can't tell you how many texts I got. Is Andrew hurt? What happened? Why'd you guys withdraw? What do you mean? WD? Like, what? Like, I don't ever want to do that again because that's not worth it. It's not worth it. I don't care. Go back 200 yards, hit the shot, make your 12, and save us from getting these texts as to what happened. Why'd you withdraw? Like,
Speaking of cuts that Wesley did make, he had to come back made an eagle to make the cut in Utah. Ironically enough.
We were warming up next to him, and we knew that if the crowd went nuts, he made the putt because he was finishing on 18, which were the grandstands where we were finishing on 9, where nobody was. So and we all of a sudden we heard a bunch of cheers and we said, he must have made it.
It's crazy, man, because like I, obviously being a Detroit guy, or as Michigan is my home state, but near Detroit, like Rocket Mortgage is my hometown event. Last year was my first year actually going in the brief history it's been here, but I interviewed Wesley at the Rocket Mortgage, and it's crazy. Like, he's got one of the bigger galleries, and the tour doesn't show him, ironically enough. I know George kind of goes in his Twitter rants about that, but like, he has a huge following, and it's crazy. Like the amount of YouTube, this isn't like a Wesley Bryan podcast. I do like Wesley's a really good guy, but it's just, you would touch on it. It's just crazy, like the amount of people who follow him and stuff like that. But that's cool, man. That's an awesome, what a 12. What a story.
That kind of transitions us. I know you want to talk a little bit about Live, right? And the tour and how they're kind of making some changes. And, they don't ask for my opinion or even, Andrew's opinion. We're not necessarily on their in their conference calls. But, a guy like Wesley is a great example. And they paired him with George in Bermuda, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, if the tour needs to make a decision. Are we going to be for ratings and for the fans, or are we going to be for the players and keep things somewhat, anonymous, if you will, in the pairings, and they have to make their mind up, because right now we're kind of on the fence. My take is, let's go all in for the fans. Let's make those dream pairings. Let players pick their pairings once in a while. I don't care if you go. To me, I think we want to make the best product possible for our fans. That's what the NFL does. That's what hockey do. Baseball is trying to do that. They're all trying to innovate their game to make it for the fans. Golf, I feel like, is the only sport that's kind of on the fence. We're like, are you for the players? Are you for the fans? Like, you got to be for both, but we got to make. If we don't have, we're fans. We don't have a tour, right? So you got to do it for the fans.
No, I agree. I think the tour is going the other way as far as like the future is in YouTube. Like, I know the tour has been stingy on YouTube. Obviously, Wesley has his YouTube channel and the Bryan Bros, but like, you see guys like Bryson and the guys on Live who are doing more YouTube. Like, that's the future, getting the younger people in the game. Like, you see these Bryson's videos, like, and I'm not going to go on a huge tangent here, but getting millions of views. It's like, I wish the tour was more lackadaisical on and doing stuff like that. And I agree. And I think, I don't want to bash the PGA Tour, but because they've done a lot of good. But I'm curious your thoughts on just like the overall state of the game, right? Obviously, there's announcements about the 2026 changes coming in. Who's signing with Liv this offseason, right? It's kind of in that time. You guys being, and I don't want you to take this the wrong way, but someone who is, obviously not, a Scheffler or a Xander, you're kind of in that middle of like, okay, these changes can affect me. So what are your thoughts on where the stance of golf is? PGA Tour, Live, the changes, whatever. Well, let's just start this conversation. We'll see where it takes us.
So overall, I think golf's in a great place because the talent level is insane. And it may have always been this way, but I can only speak to my experience with it. We're seeing guys come out of college and through the Korn Ferry Tour that can play unbelievable golf.
Luke Clinton.
Oh my gosh. I mean, recently, Thigala, we graduated with him. It's awesome. Austin Eckroat just won twice this year. You're seeing guys come out that the average fan may not have heard of, but that are just fantastic
really
players.
Good.
So the talent level is, I think, in a great place. So Tour's in a great place there. I do think the Tour also does really well in the local communities we serve. When we go to these events, they're first-rate operations set up with the fans and the grandstands and the things they try to do to incorporate players in the communities. I think they make access for people to become, like you said, you went to Rocket Mortgage. That's one of my favorite events. I think
huge
Detroit
for the
does
area.
Fantastic job and how much money they raise for the charities. I know there's a 3-hole stretch where they donate. Yep, exactly. They donate money for those charities locally, and the Tour does so much good on the back end that it's hard to see through the hot takes on Twitter, right? It's hard to see that, but overall, so I think Tour's doing really well, and in the serving our greater mission of raising money for charity and performing on the greatest stage of golf for the communities, right? The other side of that is where we're going with Live Golf and the competitive balance, if you will, of are the best players in the world playing the PGA Tour? That's, I think, the question. I think Gary Player just brought up the other day too. And I do think the Tour does need to make a few changes. Going to 100 Tour cards next year, that hits home. I mean, if that was us 2 years ago, we'd be out. So
right, exactly.
I hope there's data that's driving these decisions that the leadership is making because they know this will lead to better results in the boardroom meetings they're in. I just hope they're not making these decisions on whims. I don't think they are. They don't share that information. So I don't know why these decisions are being made. I just hope and I have faith that they're being made because there's actual either revenues or data or some sort of information that is spawning these changes. So
I agree. I think it's twofold. I think there's a lot that can go with it. I think limiting the amount of tour cards is bad for the game. I think going from 100 or 125 to 100 is bad. You've already cut down cards originally, right? And now you're eliminating Monday Q spots. You're eliminating Korn Ferry cards. Like, you're really cutting down and making it more of a closed shop, which, I think part of the reason we love the PGA Tour is, yes, Tiger and the greats and watching these, Scotty, like watching Scotty is awesome. But, Rafa Campos, for example, somebody who wins, these life-changing, like, yes, sometimes I feel like the Tour kind of props up these stories of like, oh, it's so good. But that is life-changing for a guy like Rafa Campos. And like, where the game is, like, I feel like we've gotten so much into the money aspect, and everyone wants money. I want money. I want more money, right? I'm happy those guys are playing for more money. It's not the more money. It's the constant talking about, like, this guy won 20. It's like, no one cares how much money you won. Like, they're all very well compensated. Like, obviously, we're in this for wins and competitively. That's why I play golf. I'm a +1. I play golf for competing and the pride aspect of it, but And now there's just a whole different can of worms of like, okay, we want to get the deal done, right? Because people want to see Bryson, Brooks, whatever. Now the problem is the PGA Tour is so deep, and you've got all these guys who are getting cards. Like, if where is a deal done, what are we going to do with, like, let's say 30 guys from Live? Like, are you just getting rid of those, like, the bottom 30 of the FedEx Cup? Like, saying you just no longer have a card anymore? Like, now the world of golf is in such a mess because the Tour was reluctant to do a deal in the first place, and hindsight's 2020, but it's just messy. The game, I feel like, is split where the product for the PGA Tour is tougher to watch because of the commercial load and the viewing hours. Where Live, yes, it's more accessible, but is that product much better than the PGA Tour? Who knows? And like the game of golf is in such a weird spot, right? I feel like
it is. And Bryson's, I think, a great example of that. There's a few guys that move the needle. Bryson's one of them. I love his content too. I'm a fan. Yeah, he's a peer, if you will, but definitely a fan of his. I would love to see him compete on the PGA Tour. I don't know how that would look. I'm confident there are smart enough people to make those decisions to come together in a certain way. For the most part, though, those guys made their decision and they moved on. So I'm not. Nobody's sitting here wishing they were back, but for the good of the game, I would love the majors. How great were the majors last year? I mean, they were unbelievable. That you're probably going to see more importance on the majors, as there should be. So hey, we still have those. I'm looking forward to hopefully competing in a few of them this year with Andrew. That's kind of where we're gonna, we want to take care of getting into those, because that's where we know we will find the best competition. So I hope that I hope they can figure something out. If they don't, hey, we're still going to show up every tournament we go to. We're still going to try to create a great atmosphere for fans and entertain them all over the markets we go to. But the funny thing is, so you talk about Tiger Woods, right? So, and about making money. So Tiger, obviously, he's every player's favorite player, right? He's my favorite player. I have a poster on my wall I'm looking at. It's Tiger Woods. Right? I had one. I literally had one on my. I'm in my office here, and like, I had Tiger was right. I'll never forget the first time I saw him was at Firestone when I was probably 8 years old. Just mass, and he won that tournament like 8 times. Like the energy that Tiger brings is second to none. But nobody talks about how much money Tiger Woods has made on the course. It's never discussed. They talk about how many majors he has and how many PGA Tour events he has, right? That's it. They don't talk about, well, Tiger made X million. It doesn't matter. It's a moot point. I mean, it matters, in a way, but no one talks about how much money Jack made or Arnie. They talk about how many majors they've won and how many tournaments they won, because dollars will always, fluctuate. I know that I've seen the calculations. Well, if Arnie played the day, whatever. Okay, cool. But
it's all relative.
No, it's all relative. And we want to talk about majors. So when you talk about cutting the fields down, like about going against Tiger, right? I love Tiger as a kid. Respect him now, as what he's done for the game. It's you and I wouldn't be talking if it wasn't for Tiger Woods. There is a 6 levels of degrees of separation between it's probably closer than 6, right? But when Tiger did take on random Joe or random Bob, how neat was it to see Bob May. David versus Goliath kind of match, right? Or really, Bob May, there's one, or Y.E. Yang, or Rocco Media, excuse me. These great players that in their own right, but we didn't, the general public didn't hear of. But man, I got another challenger. Can they take down Tiger? And most times they didn't. And that was kind of the allure of Tiger, of like, he's untouchable. He's inhuman, if you will. But he was always will be the best player. In my opinion.
I agree.
I didn't watch Jack play, but Tiger's the best. I mean, I think it's open and shut.
Yeah, I mean, growing up in our generation, I mean, I'm 30. I'm a little younger than you, but I feel like growing up, you're either a Tiger guy or a Phil guy, right? I mean, and I love Phil. Phil's awesome. I love what Phil's done for the game of golf. Love what Tiger's done for the game. Like you said, it's instant. But man, I wish I appreciated how good he was more in my younger, when I was younger, because now obviously I'm just happy to see him play. But like, man, he was really, really good back then. And it's crazy how insane. But like you said, nobody talks about the money. Like even Scotty, I saw his clip from the Hero today. It's like, I don't even know if he wants to hear about the money. I think he's here to win. He's here to win majors. He wants to be great, and he wants to be compared to the Tiger. He wants to be compared to the Rorys, or the people of his generation, the JTs, the Spieths, whatever, right? And my last point on this, and then let's transition a little bit into some other stuff. But the signature events, and this kind of ties into my point. But the signature events, I think there needs to be a tweak there. I think there needs to be a cut. I think Matt McNeely, just won, talked about it great. Yeah, go to 120. I think that would just be such a better look than these 72, no cut, guaranteed prize fields. It's like, make it worth something. Like, the people who get into the signature events have such an advantage because the FedEx Cup points, the money, regardless of you show up, you're guaranteed. So that kind of, my next question is like, you mentioned 68 on the FedEx Cup, kind of in that weird spot of you're not the top 50, the 51 to 60 for the fall. You guys fortunately didn't get there, but close. Like how do you plan out your schedule? Are you guys how do you guys get into the signature events? What does that look like for kind of the first couple months of your season as you're mapping that out?
Yeah, we talked about it briefly to close the year, and we're playing everything we're in. If we're in it, we're playing it. Opposite fields, whatever. We need to earn as many points as we can. If Andrew's healthy, and ready to go, we're going to tee it up. And I think a lot of guys are going to take that strategy this year because right now this year I think Ricky Fowler's 101.
108,
right. I mean, like, who knows? I'm just speaking in what ifs, but like, if Ricky, there's going to be some names that are on the outside looking in this year, so it's going to be even more competitive. So I do think, I don't like it, but I do think that will create drama that the tour hopefully can. If they're going to at least make this decision, make it worthwhile, right? Like make it. Hopefully, it grows the game because of more fans are watching because of how cutthroat it is. But we're playing everything. We're going to play everything, and so I think last year number 69 got into Pebble Beach. Okay. We're 68. I don't know exactly if that was because of live guys leaving, or I don't know exactly how that fell that way. So maybe we'll be in the first or Pebble Beach for the signature event. If we are, great. If we're not, then we're not. And we're going to play everything. We're going to play everything, do the best we can every week, and hopefully earn some opportunity to take some time off later in the year to kind of rest up. But to start, it's going to be guns blazing for everybody. I mean, we're going to Sony looking to compete to win. I mean, it's as simple as that. Hopefully, you never know how it's going to go, but we're not. Nobody's just going to ease into the schedule. Nobody's like, oh, let's go out to Hawaii and just vacation. No, we're getting to work, and we finished 12th there 2 years ago. Andrew likes the course. We missed the cut last year, unfortunately, but I'm expecting us to have to go out right where we left off.
Oh yeah. What are you? I mean, I don't think you guys are in. Are you guys in any of the majors next year?
We're in the Players, which is great. That's an awesome event. Yeah. And then I think we'll be. I think we have a good chance at the PGA because of how Andrew's done so far since the last PGA. But he's got to earn his way in. So we're going to try to qualify. Oh, yeah. My first loop I ever got really paid for was at Oakmont. Nice. A friend of mine, his father is a member there. Yeah. I said, hey, I'd love to do some club caddying and just on the side while, when I was, still working in the corporate world. Yeah. And he got me a couple loops there. And Oakmont is such to me, hardest course I've ever played. Yeah. I'm the kind of guy, I can shoot 82 pretty much everywhere we go. Yeah. 82. I'm going to shoot 82. Oakmont, 97. I mean, it is so tough. Yeah. It is, and I hope. And last time the Open was there, it rained and it was soft. And guys, the members are pissed. They want revenge. Yeah. The Oakmont, if the weather cooperates, they're going to make that place brutal. I promise you, it's going to be an awesome Open. I would love to work it. We'll see if that works out that way.
Let's go, man.
And I live in Pennsylvania, so
I was going to say around the corner from you.
It's close by. Yeah, it would be awesome.
Speaking of existence, hopefully get a win, get you guys into Augusta, and that way we avoid long stays.
That's his. I mean, that's his. Obviously, he's a Southern guy. Yeah, Augusta. Everyone ranks their majors. Augusta's great. I would love to work it. I'd love to win it, of course. Yeah. The U.S. Open, as a Northern guy, was always my number one major. The hardest test. Even par usually wins. That's to me just awesome. And we'd have a lot of family and friends and support there. So who knows? We got a lot of work to do to get in. But that one's circled on my calendar for sure. Hopefully we get a chance to.
we pulling for you guys, man. Well, let's do some rapid fires and we'll get you out of here, Jeff. Thank you so much for jumping on. But you mentioned favorite golfer, so I don't want to Tiger, but let's go with favorite golf course, and not nicest because that's the next one. But what is your favorite golf course that you play?
That I personally
have played? That you've ever played? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we talked about Oakmont. That's up there for sure. I got a chance to play Pebble about 10 years ago. Highly recommended, worth the trip. But my favorite place in the world to play golf is in Pinehurst. I love the village of Pinehurst. Yeah. I just was down there after our season and went over and played number 4. Nice. I think that's my number 1 course in Pinehurst. Love playing number 4. So that's going to be my answer. For you, Marco. What
about favorite tour stop? Curious your answer on this one.
I am a big fan of the John Deere Classic. I swear to you, the fans are fantastic. Yeah. The tour takes great care of us, the caddies, and the players, but they take great care of us. It is a hard walk as well. Yeah. And it's hot. It's usually really hot there.
Mid-July, man.
I don't have many stops I don't like. I feel like the tour really has done these events that are ran individually, right? The tour is supporting them, but the tournament directors do such a good job. From Jackson to Kentucky to and everywhere in between, right? So we've heard John Deere Classics probably my top one.
We've heard John Deere a lot, and the one we've heard the most, we only had a few caddies, so it's not like it's record breaking, but is the out in Tahoe, the Barracuda. That one has been very popular.
We did that. I've only done that one once, and we missed. So it's a Stableford, right?
Yeah.
We missed the cut by 1 point.
Okay.
So I have a little thing I do with everywhere we make the cut, I buy a shirt. If we make the cut, I buy a shirt to kind of commemorate it, right?
Yeah.
And one of my best friends out here on tour, his name's JP Kellogg. He works for Kevin Roy. He buys a shirt every time he misses the cut. I said, what? When I miss the cut somewhere, I don't want anything to do with that place. I'm like, I don't even want to think of it. Now, it's not the tournament's fault, but it just, if I had to look at that shirt every day in my closet, it would just bring up bad memories of me of how we missed the cut.
Exactly.
Out. So we missed the cut there by 1 point. Barracuda, I'm out on it.
Fair enough. Yeah. Caddy role model.
So, this one, I guarantee you've never gotten this answer before, but I'm going to give some credit to Mark Cairns. Okay. He works for JJ Spawn.
Okay.
And Mark, I love Mark. He's my gin partner, or we play against on the flight home from Japan. We played gin for probably 6 hours straight. I'm sure everyone around us was not happy with us. They were sleeping. We were playing gin. And I love Mark, but he is I love the way he handles himself with us. Great, jokes, funny, but we were paired with him a couple months ago, and he was so intent on JJ and serious. I thought we were going to have more fun. I thought we were going to be telling jokes, getting along. And he took it serious and really, focus on JJ, and they did a great job. And I think they've won a couple times together since then. I know they won Valero a couple years ago.
Oh yeah.
And Mark, I guarantee most people aren't saying that, but I respect it. I thought he was able to balance professionalism really well. And I thought he doesn't probably get much credit for that. No, he does a good job with it.
Yeah, we have not heard Mark. We've heard Paul Tesori quite a few times.
I don't know. I don't know Paul. I've heard. I know he's got a great reputation, but there's a ton. There are so many good guys out there.
Oh yeah.
And they all do something a little bit differently, and that's kind of the gist. When I started my sales career, if you can learn one thing from each guy and put it together, then you kind of create your style and put your spin on it.
Formula.
You can become You're kind of becoming a super power. Exactly. But you create. It's what the top. If I can take the top feature, if I could read, greens Paul, or if or John Yarbrough, who works for Phil now.
Yeah.
John is the master at aim point. He's so good at it. And he worked for Scott Stallings for years. Just we played with him at Pebble Beach, and a couple years ago, and John's aim pointing it out, and I was just learning kind of aim point at the time, and I use it a little bit, but I'm no master. And John's like, Scott, put it right here, and every putt looked like it was going in. It was he's fantastic. So if you can learn a little bit from everybody. Oh, yeah. You're gonna do really well, because there's a lot of great guys to learn from, and I'm always kind of, and like we played with Ted Scott last year with Scotty in contention in Dallas at in Colonial, Fort Worth, which is Scotty's hometown area, right? Yeah. So yes, I'm watching I'm watching Andrew, obviously, but trust me, I'm paying attention to how Scotty and Ted work together, right? Yeah. And kind of, and they're the best in the world. They're number one. So if you're not paying attention to who's number one in the world and what they're doing, like it's irresponsible not to at least keep an eye on, how to improve, what I can do to help maybe Andrew, gain something here or there.
For sure, man. Well, last one, and then we'll get you out of here, Jeff. Thank you so much. But told you one mulligan for Andrew in the past. Where would you use it and why?
Okay, that's a great question. So I'm gonna pretty simple answer that comes to mind is our first time playing the Players on Sawgrass 17, right? Our first time. Now, Andrew, we missed the cut, but we hit in the water on 17, and I wonder if that would have maybe changed things momentum wise, So we hit in the water, and I hit in the water on the caddy shot on the Wednesday the day before. So that was a bad stretch. So I want my mulligan as well. Fair enough. So this year on Wednesday at the Players, trust me, I'm going to be training for that shot. And I hope he is as well.
All right, guys. Well, that's it. Another instance of the Caddy Corner. If you made it to the end of the episode, Jeff, thank you so much for joining us. You guys hit the subscribe button below. Link Jeff's socials in the description if you guys want to follow him on Instagram. Follow Andrew Novak. He's a great, tour guide to watch. We're going to get Andrew on at some point. But good luck this season, Jeff. Thank you for coming on, man. And this is awesome. Thank you so much.
Yep. See you later.